Could this be Tom Brady's last game as a Buccaneer? We got Dallas as road favorites coming into Tampa. Hey, this is going to be an interesting game. Let's get to it. What is up, guys? Welcome to the Edge DFS. My name is Tyson Smith. We are talking Showdown as usual. Cowboys, Buccaneers, Monday Night Football, the last game of Wildcard weekend, Super Wildcard weekend, sorry. Ellie, what's going on with you, man? How you doing? You got a delivery date for that kid you got coming out?
I actually do. We'll be delivering on Tuesday morning, so we're pretty excited. And by morning, I mean we got to wake up at like 3 a.m. and start handling that shit.
Jeez, man. Well, hey, go to bed. Don't watch this game because I think the Cowboys are going to win this game. I do.
I disagree with you there, man. I don't know.
Hey, all right. Hey, this is going to be interesting. Are we doing Skip and Stephen A. Smith here, or are we going to just do a bunch of bullshit hot takes? Is that what we're going to do?
Yeah. I don't know, man. I think you and I respect each other too much to be skipping shit.
Thank you guys so much for all the new subscribers. We appreciate it. It seems like you guys are liking that two-game sort of breakdown that we do for Saturdays. We're going to try to continue that depending on the schedule. I haven't even looked at the schedule for next week, but I think we're going to do like a full slate, whether it's 2 or 3 games, whatever that is. We'll do another one of those shows, and then we'll stick to the Showdown slates as well. But let's get into this particular matchup. I don't think this is going to be too long of a show. I think this is pretty straightforward stuff here, in my opinion. I think you got to take a stance here, and you got to stick with it. If you spread yourself out too much, I think you're just going to kind of be right in the middle with everybody else. So you're going to have to make some bold choices in this matchup. You got Dallas going into Tampa Bay. The weather's good. It's, minus 142 on the money line for Dallas. This is a 45.5 total, and Dallas is favored 2.5 points. Ellie, what jumps out to you here, man? I feel like Tampa Bay could come out and look pretty good, but I don't know why. I just have a hunch. I just have a feeling that Dallas is going to step up. I don't like the Cowboys. In fact, I heavily dislike the Cowboys. For whatever reason, I just feel like this is it. Like there was nothing special about this season for Tampa Bay. New coaching staff. I feel like Tom Brady's just kind of, biding his time until he can move to another team. He's got no wife. He can do whatever the hell he wants. This ain't going to be his last game or his last year. Am I crazy about that, man? Talk to me. You're sensing some magic from Tom Brady here. What are your thoughts on this game overall? Does this hit the over? Does this hit the under? What are you thinking?
So I guess overall, I think I'm just going to lean towards the under here. I think that this is probably going to be more of a nasty game. Dallas has a solid defense, and they were rolling earlier in the season. But Dak just hasn't looked good to me over the past couple of weeks, and I don't know, man. I feel like that's a game. Like, if this game mucks up, like, Todd Bowles is a great defensive coach. Like, he may not be the the guy who was with Bruce Arians, but I think that he benefits from a mucked up game, and we all know that Tom Brady, he benefits from a mucked up game. So I can see them winning this game something stupid like 17-14 or 23-16 or some shit, right?
Yeah.
But the other thing I think is worth noting is Tom Brady's an underdog in this. I think I want to find out like when the last time he was an underdog in a playoff game, regardless of who his team was.
Yeah.
So, they don't have anything to lose. Nobody expects anything from this team because they are special or they aren't special. So, don't sleep on Tampa, but everybody knows that it's Tom Brady.
If Dallas loses this game and Tom Brady moves on, I would actually be pretty happy. I'm going to be happy to be wrong if I am wrong, because I root for Tom Brady. I want to see Tom Brady in another Super Bowl. I just don't see it happening in this particular matchup. But look, you're right. Dallas has not looked great. And I think that's why a lot of people are talking about Tampa Bay here. They lost to the Commanders last week. Dak has been struggling. He's got 15 interceptions this year, 7 straight games with an interception. He leads the league in interceptions. That's a problem. And not to say that this Buccaneers defense is lighting the world on fire, the pass defense, but they've got some good cornerbacks. They got Sean Murphy-Bunting, Carlton Davis, Jamel Dean. They're solid corners, and they are pretty good at, yards per attempt. They're 6th, and they're 8th in yards per catch. So I think that the numbers are slightly deceiving. I think they could step up in this game and do okay, but I'm looking towards Dak, CD, Tony Pollard. I'm thinking that's a solid core in this one. Mix up, and I think what I want to do is I'm liking the 2 4s in this one. Put a Tampa Bay guy like Godwin or Evans or Rashad White or one of these dudes at captain. Run it back with 3 or 4 Dallas guys. The interesting thing about this is we do have some value, but they're pure punts. But there's not really any obvious value in this matchup. You got guys like T.Y. Hilton at $3K, and then you got some Dallas tight ends that are just straight up punts at $200. But I think we can work with a couple things, and that might really help us because there's a lot of expensive guys here. And we're going to have to make a choice between, are we doing 2 quarterback lineups? Are we doing 1 quarterback lineup? I think that's the biggest choice that we're going to have to make, unless we completely punt at captain, which I don't know that I really want to do that in this matchup. We got some absolute studs in this game that have huge ceilings. So I think I'm going to focus on those guys and then maybe punt in the flex. Thoughts on that before we move into injuries?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is a slate where you really need to consider those $200 guys versus punting at the captain, right? It's the playoffs. You're going to be playing your best players as much you possibly can. So we'll see what it's like when we build.
All right, let's get to our injuries.
Yeah, just pain. It was pain everywhere.
So not really a whole lot to talk about here, thankfully. So one thing that's not listed here is you've got Kyle Rudolph. It looks like he's out, or at least doubtful, which opens up a little bit on the tight end side for Tampa. Kate Otten is sort of the guy, if you quotations. They're not really utilizing the tight end position much. But with Kyle Rudolph out, maybe Cameron Brate. He's been a healthy scratch recently. Maybe Cameron Brate at $200 can come in and do something. But there's not really a lot here to talk about. Obviously, on the defensive side for the Bucs, it looks pretty nasty. You've got a lot of questionable guys. So that can affect things. But when it comes to DFS, Showdown, players we're playing, there's not really a whole lot to talk about here. Anything else jump out to you about this?
No, nothing important, I see.
All right, well, let's get into this breakdown, man. Let's just get right into this, man. Let's do it. Break it down. All right, so we've got Tom Brady at 10K, Dak Prescott 10.4K. So, like I said in the intro here, unless you're fading unless you're straight up fading Evans or Godwin or one of these studs, I feel like in order to get a halfway balanced lineup, you're probably going to have to make a decision between one of these quarterbacks. Now, to me, I feel like we could still play Evans in the captain spot and leave Tom Brady out. And maybe we want to make a decision. Do we play a little bit playoff Lenny instead of Tom Brady? But that doesn't. I don't think there's a whole lot of correlation there because playoff Lenny can catch touchdown passes as well as Rashad White. So what are you thinking here with Tom Brady and Dak Prescott? I know that Dak Prescott can turn the ball over, and he's been kind of a nightmare lately. But remember, they beat the Eagles a few weeks ago. I do think that this team, maybe, if they can find a way to just get through this game, maybe they can slide into an NFC championship. But what do we do with Dak here, man? Are you interested in him? Are you looking to play 2 quarterbacks? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, both these guys are going to be essential to the success of their team. I mean, it's the playoffs. There's nothing too crazy about any of that, right? But look, just the way that this slate works out, you're going to have to decide whether or not you want to play both these guys. Most people are not going to be able to play both these guys in their lineups because you're paying for CD, you're paying for Mike or Chris, and then I'm sure you want Tony or Zeke, right? So
Yeah.
that takes away your ability to play both these guys. Now, when we get to the lineup builds, maybe that's something that we can focus on, is specifically building with both of them. I mean, what if this is a 37 to 35 shootout for whatever reason, which we know Tom Brady can throw for 350 and 4 touchdowns, and we know Dak can do that.
Yeah.
So if both these teams have their offensive line show up to the, on Monday, then I think there might be builds where you want to get both these guys in there. So, but no, most of the time you're gonna have to make a decision.
It does feel like to me that both of these, the running game for both of these teams, especially Tampa Bay has a terrible run offense. They're just not getting it done for whatever reason. And the Cowboys, yeah, they're fine, but I feel like their backs get involved in other ways. Zeke is going to be running between the tackles. He's going to get a lot of red zone opportunities. Zeke is going to be heavily touchdown dependent. But I feel like maybe the team that you go heavy on, you just pair them with the quarterback and maybe fade the quarterback for the other team. Unless we're talking a shootout here, then yeah, you're probably going to need both of them. So it's an interesting conundrum we're going to be in here when we start building lineups. Let's go to running back here. Let's start with Dallas. Tony Pollard's 8K, Zeke Elliott 7,800, Malik Davis 1,200. Are you interested in handcuffing? Are you interested in Tony Pollard here? I feel like he's the obvious choice at $200 more than Zeke. But like I said, Zeke's going to get those red zone opportunities most likely, and he's touchdown dependent. So you're probably going to need like 2 touchdowns out of him, or you're going to need a touchdown and 100 yards, which I don't see that really happening from Zeke. So it feels like Tony Pollard's the better option. He's going to be higher owned. He's not that much more expensive, and you have the PPR upside, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, look, Zeke being under or price less than him is interesting because Zeke could still end up with a pretty significant amount of the work. But with that being said, I think handcuffing these guys and fading Dak might be an interesting way to do a 4-2 Dallas stack, with Dallas being the 4, right? Then you grab CD, maybe Brett Maher or something along those lines. Because like what Tyson said on the last part, right? You're probably going to want to stack your quarterback up with your 4 stack in most of them. This is a unique opportunity to kind of get different from that, even though that's going to be probably 95% of my build type, right? But look, play both these guys. I think you can handcuff both of them. And honestly, I think they're both fine captain plays. I think I would prefer Tony Pollard at the captain spot a little bit. But, Zeke being at 7,800 isn't anything terrible either, right? If he ends up with touchdown and 80 yards, he might give you the flexibility that you need to go from K. Otten to Ryan Suckup, where kickers might actually matter because it's a playoff game.
Yeah.
So anyways, that being said, the only other guy that I think is worth a dart throw is Malik Davis. I doubt he gets any run, but who knows? You get one screen pass in the playoffs and bust your opportunity, and all of a sudden you're in the optimal lineup. So
yeah,
1,200, he's something I'd consider at this point.
Deep GPP.
If he's active.
For sure, yeah. All right, let's move to the other side. Tampa Bay, Leonard Fournette, playoff Lenny, 7,200. Hasn't really played well basically since week 1 against Dallas, where he had 100 plus yards. Since then, it's been very inconsistent, and he's just not running the ball well. You see a 25-point output there, but that's 10 targets, 9 receptions, 90 yards. So that's why that happened.
Against Arizona.
Of course, yeah. It's against Arizona. So playoff Lenny scares me, but it scares me because, I don't want to play him at all. I want to uncheck him. But this is a perfect opportunity for him to catch a couple balls out of the backfield and take one to the house or get a 30-yard reception for a touchdown. It scares me, but I think I'm leaning towards just not playing him and sticking with a guy like Rachaad White at 5,400. Look, $1,800 difference, that's a huge deal in this game, in this showdown slate. The chances that Fournette outscores Rachaad White, probably, it could happen, but I think that Rachaad White probably outscores him in this matchup. So what do we do here, man? Are you interested in Rachaad White? Are you uninterested in Leonard Fournette like I am?
Yeah, I am absolutely uninterested in Lenny, playoff Lenny, fat ass Lenny, whatever you want to call him. But look, here's what I will do. I may enter a $5 single entry with him at the captain spot.
Yes.
With either the chalkiest or the most optimally projected lineup I can possibly build out of that, just to hedge myself, because as soon as we say we're not playing him, that's a 2-touchdown night for him. But I prefer Rachaad White, $5,400. We know he's going to get involved in the pass game, in the screen game. And yeah, I prefer him. He's cheaper. And the other two guys probably won't even be active.
Yeah, and we say this a lot, but if I fade him in the flex, or even if I'm under the field, I mean, I don't think he's going to be that high owned. But if I fade him, completely, I'm definitely going to have Captain Lenny make an appearance and probably be like a slightly over the field at captain, just in case, because man, he's the type of guy that can absolutely screw you. It's happened so many damn times. I mean, this isn't a Bruce Arians team anymore, so we don't have to worry about Ronald Jones being signed off the street. Thankfully he's on a team already, and Ronald Jones will screw us later in the playoffs. I promise you that. So we don't have to worry about any of that bullshit for Tampa Bay, thankfully. But I'm going with Rachaad White in this situation. Wide receivers for Tampa. Look, Chris Godwin, 9,200, Mike Evans, 9,600. I want both of these guys together. Now, Chris Godwin is a cash beast. I'm picking him first as far as in the flex. But for me, Mike Evans is an incredible captain option. He is priced up slightly, but if we could punt with a $200 like Peyton Hendershot or something like that down the road, you could put him at captain, pair him with Tom Brady, and put him with Chris Godwin as well. I love Chris Godwin and Mike Evans together. But look, Mike Evans is slightly risky, but look at this shit. 51 fantasy points in the last game he played against Carolina. 12 targets, 10 receptions, 200 yards, 3 touchdowns. That's what he's capable of. And, it's few and far between. You're not going to expect another game out of him like that. But I can absolutely expect another 2-touchdown game out of him in the playoffs. Tom Brady, when he's stressed out, he's going to throw it to that back corner of the pylon and just trust that Mike Evans can go up and catch the ball. And this Dallas defense is not incredible by any means. So I love both of these guys here. Let's start with them. What are your thoughts? Do you agree with me on trying to get as much of these guys as possible?
Yeah, always, absolutely. Again, the good thing that we have is 20 years of game film on Tom Brady in the playoffs, so we know that he loves his guys. Once we get to the playoffs, he throws to his guys, and it's Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. I think this is interesting slate too. If you want your only $2 to be Godwin and Evans, that's perfectly plausible. They could each end up with 15 receptions and no touchdowns and be the optimal players on the Bucs. So, again, that's a different, unique type build that I think I'll be looking at. But look, I'm not even going to spend much time there. I think we talk about some of these other guys like Russell Gage. I don't think I'll be having any exposure to. I do like Julio Jones at 4,400. This is why he hasn't played all season, was to come in and hopefully make a run in the playoffs. So, 4,400. He's $200 or $400 more expensive than a kicker, and he's going to be 5% owned, maybe.
Yeah.
Play him in a couple lineups, and the other two I don't think will be active. Maybe Scotty Miller.
One thing I want to mention here is, the Bucs offense is terrible on third down. They're struggling this year. They're not doing well. Like third down is their Achilles heel. They're not very good in the red zone either. Cowboys defense is top 10 in third down defense and red zone defense. So that could really affect things. But look, we're talking about Tom Brady. Those bullshit regular season stats don't really matter. When it's playoff time, you could expect him to probably step up. All right. And look, Russell Gage is getting about 50+% of the snap rates. So he's on the field half the time. And at 5,200, nobody's playing this dude. Like nobody. And I think you could sprinkle in Russell Gage. I do like Julio Jones, but he's super boom or bust. Russell Gage, probably the same. But look, you get him at 10 fantasy points in a game that maybe hits the under. Hey, that's pretty damn good at 5,200. And there's not a whole lot of middle of the road guys that I'm really interested, but Russell Gage maybe, just maybe. All right, let's go to Dallas. So look. CeeDee Lamb is 10.6K. Expensive. I'm going to have a shitload of him. No doubt about it. Michael Gallup is 5K, Noah Brown 2,400, and T.Y. Hilton 3K. I'm going to have a lot of CeeDee Lamb. I'm going to have a ton of Dak, CeeDee Lamb, and then Gallup, or Dak, CeeDee Lamb, and one of these other guys, or Schultz. So I'm going to have multiple pass catchers for these guys, maybe even a Tony Pollard. But what are we thinking here for these wide receivers? I love all of them. Well, I shouldn't say love. I'm going to play all of them. And even a guy like T.Y. Hilton at 3K is a pretty good option here. But I'm obsessed with CeeDee Lamb. I think this is the time that he shines. I think he has a game where he comes out and kind of shows how good he is, and he's in the same conversation as some of these other top studs. I really like CeeDee Lamb in this matchup. So what are your thoughts here?
I think this is CeeDee Lamb's trade case to convince Dallas to trade him for DeAndre Hopkins and maybe the third overall pick. I don't know, just throwing some stuff out there. But look, CeeDee Lamb is excellent. He's the guy. Play him as much as you can. Play him at captain. If you can play online with him, play Madden with him online. Like, he's just really good at football. He has a really high ceiling. We know he's going to get involved. And I'm actually more curious in kind of some of these other guys. Like, when I did my initial review, I missed some of these prices here, man. These seem a little bit mispriced. Like, Michael Gallup has legitimate 2-touchdown upside. So 5K, like that. This is the playoffs, right? Like, I understand maybe pricing him like this during the regular season, where you could see him actually only see the field, 70-75% of the time. He's going to be on the field almost every snap.
Yes.
Right. This is what you play the season for.
Yep.
So, look, 5K, I think he's really interesting. Noah Brown at 2,400 is probably mispriced as well. I'll have a shitload of him. But here's the thing. I think you can probably play Dak Prescott, get weird, and fade CD, in your 1 or 2 lineups that you're doing that, and stack Noah Brown, T.Y. Hilton, and then throw in one of the running backs. And then you'll probably still get Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, right? So, look, it's not a good defense on the other side of the ball. They're inconsistent. And at those prices, they just need one big play to really, probably end up in the optimal.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's it. Let's move on to tight end. Dalton Schultz, 6,400. Jake Ferguson, 200. Peyton Hendershot. Dalton Schultz is their second best target. He's been injured, but he's the guy that Dak trusts second behind CeeDee Lamb. And I think he's a red zone beast. You have to be scared that he'll score 2 touchdowns. So I think flex and captain for Dalton Schultz is interesting. And look, the matchup here, let's see. I can't find it right now, but the Cowboys defense is not good. Not great against tight ends. Actually, you know what? I'm wrong about that. It was Tampa Bay on the other side. We'll talk about that in a second here. Apologies. But any interest in Ferguson, Hendershot, and Dalton Schultz is always interesting. I think that this is probably going to be one of the most underrated positions on this slate for both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the play action opens a lot for the tight ends, and there's no reason for the Cowboys to not use play action with their backs. Dalton Schultz is priced very well at 6,400. I'll probably have a decent. I'll be over the field, I think, at captain, just because he'll give you a decent amount of flexibility. And at 1 touchdown and 50 yards, he could end up being the optimal captain. And then Jake and Peyton, I for sure will end up playing them, probably maybe 5% each, but $200, we punted for much less.
I'm an idiot. So the stat that I was looking at was the Bucks, which of course former Cardinals guy, former Cardinals coach is basically they're 27th in rating allowed to tight ends. So this is a good matchup for these guys, and I think Hendershot and Ferguson are both in play. Ferguson's going to be on the field more, but Hendershot is going to be when he's on the field, he's going to be running routes. So to me, Hendershot is an interesting play. We've seen Hendershot take like end arounds into the end zone earlier in the year. So keep an eye on these guys. But Dalton Schultz to me is somebody you have to prioritize and try to fit in because he doesn't project great. And he's middle of the road pricing. So you're going to have to kind of go with more of a balanced build. Unless you fit him in your second to last position there. So let's go to Tampa. Cade Otton is 1,800. Cameron Brate, 200. O'Keefe, 200. So Cade Otton is the guy, in quotes here, but he's not really getting involved a whole lot. We see a 10, a 17, a 14, a 10-point output. Really nothing to write home about. But now he's clearly the guy because Cameron Brate has been basically sitting the last few weeks. But like I mentioned in the intro, no Kyle Rudolph for this most likely. So Cameron Brate at 200, probably someone you got to think about fitting in, right?
Yeah, all three of these guys are just priced really well. Kate Otten at 1,800. Honestly, he is probably priced down a little bit considering he could see a decent amount of volume. The what sucks for Tampa is their offensive line. It's just god awful. If Tom Brady could get any ounce of time to do something, he's going to throw to his tight end. So
Yeah.
1,800 Kate Otten is fine. And then I think you should have some exposure to Brate or Kokai. I think I'm leaning a little bit more towards Kokai or Keith, however you say his name, just because I think they keep him in for blocking. But Brate again could be like Julio. They've been saving him all season for the playoffs.
All right, let's go to kickers and defense. Ryan Suckoff, 4K. Brett Maher, 3,800. Both good kickers here. They're priced pretty good. This team isn't. Both of these teams aren't great in the red zone, specifically Tampa Bay. So if you think about it that way, maybe Suckup is an interesting choice. And if you're interested in a lower scoring, game script, you probably want to get 20-25% of each of these guys, but then you run the risk. Hey man, it's possible if you are running one in each lineup, max, half your lineups have a kicker in them. So that is kind of scary sometimes, but sometimes it's also needed. So thoughts on kickers?
Yeah, man, I like them. I think you can probably run both in cash games. Probably only need one in regular games, but you can't consider fading them just because this is a playoff game. They will take points when they have the opportunity to take points.
Defense, Buccaneers 3,400, Cowboys 4,800. I think you got to consider both. Buccaneers, we know how aggressive they are. They blitz about 30% of the time. But, Dak Prescott actually does pretty well against the blitz. So who knows? But it's an aggressive defense, Tampa Bay's is. And the Cowboys defense, we know they're aggressive. We know they can cause turnovers. We know, the guys that they have are pretty damn good. So what are we thinking here for these defenses? I don't know what their ownership's going to be at this moment, but you got to think probably 15+% own maybe.
Yeah, I think Cowboys probably being closer to 15 to 20, and Bucks maybe anywhere from 10 to 15. I don't mind either. I think the Bucks at 3,400 are fine to get a little bit of exposure to. Like you said, a couple strip sacks or just a pick six at 3,400. That's kind of a game changer. And I expect this game to be the bullshit 17-13 score. So it is possible that one of these teams, ends up with 6-7 sacks. Cowboys 4,800 is fine. I'd still probably just rather play like Noah Brown than both of these though.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's get to our Crown Their Ass segment, our favorite captain on DraftKings.
Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass.
You're going Godwin, I'm going Evans. I agree with you. These are going to be my two highest owned, along with probably Pollard and CD. Those are my top four guys that I'm going to be playing a captain and most likely in the flex as well. Although Evans in the flex, maybe I'll go a little bit under the field or maybe around the field. Anybody else that you're thinking for captain here?
Yeah, obviously CeeDee Lamb. I think this is an interesting slate where you might want to consider doing like a 1-5 where your captain is Dak or Tom Brady and run it back with 5 the other way if you can. And then we talked about Dalton Schultz at a nice price. You got Tony Pollard and Zeke, both viable captains. And then I'll personally hedge a little bit with Lenny.
Yeah.
Real quick, Ryan Suckup. Again, you could take points, and he may give you a build that gives you some decent flexibility.
All right, let's get to our fate of the night here.
We couldn't do diddly poo.
Ellie, we're both going Lenny in the flex and sprinkling slightly above the field in the captain spot in case he goes off. But I'm not really liking him in this matchup. You agree? Obviously, you agree.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
All right, let's get to our lineup build here. We appreciate you guys. Throw us a subscribe. Helps us out a lot. Let's get to 50 likes for this video. Also, if you guys want to join that Discord, you could scan it if you're watching on your computer or your TV. If you're on your phone, you can go down into the description and click that button. It's free. pretty decent resource for information, stats, and actives. And obviously, if there's any weird injuries that pop up before this game locks, we'll be talking about that in there. And it's free. Why not? All right, you want to hit the button and just see what happens here?
Let's do it.
Brady captain, Kate Otten, Dalton Schultz, Fournette, Godwin, Prescott. Don't hate it, but I'm not super interested in Brady at captain, to be honest. So what are we thinking for a cash build here? This is kind of we don't have ownership yet. It's a little bit early. I don't quite know where to go here. Do you have any insight on this?
Not necessarily, but let's just try this real quick and see where we land. Let's do CD, both quarterbacks, and then Godwin, if it's even possible.
Yeah, definitely Godwin. And I think CD for sure. Now, here's the interesting thing. We could do a kicker. So you could do suck off and then just punt, right?
Yeah,
so,
I actually kind of like that.
So, yes, most likely Hendershot gets you 0. But that opens up a lot of these raw points that you couldn't get otherwise. So I do actually kind of like this. Let me save this. If you guys have a cash lineup that you're thinking, please comment down below. I'd love to hear that. Let's do a CD GPP lineup. What are you thinking?
Let's go Dak. Let's go Chris, and let's go Mike Evans.
Okay, love it. 4,900, sort of similar. Options here.
You want to throw in Maher, and I mean, I think we're still back down to that $200 range. Or you know what? Let's go Noah Brown. Just see what we have left.
Yeah, love it, dude. Love Noah Brown, or even a guy like T.Y. Hilton too. But 2,400. Yeah. Where does that put us? It kind of puts us in the no man's land. Kate Otten as that last spot. Not super interested in that. Or you could go down to one of these $200 guys. Now, for me, maybe instead of Noah Brown, you could also do a couple variations on this lineup and go with T.Y. Hilton here. And then you're still kind of in that same range. You could do Kate Otten, et cetera, et cetera. But that's interesting. I don't mind Evans and Godwin together without Brady. I think they can each get nine receptions. And as long as they don't end up with like 4 total touchdowns or something crazy like that, but as long as everything's concentrated to Evans and Godwin, I don't think you absolutely need Tom Brady. Anything else when you want to play with here? Or do you want to get to some other captains?
Yeah, let's get to some other captains, man.
Who do you want?
Let's go with what was Mike Evans, one of the next high price guys. Let's go with Mike.
Yeah, so let's go Mike. I want to play with this build. Godwin and Tom. So what do we have to do to make this happen? We probably want this to be a 4-2. So we probably want to get a guy like Kate Otten or one of these cheap dudes, cheap pass catchers. You probably could go with Rachaad White here. But then you're just completely screwed on the other side. So most likely we want to punt on the Tom Brady side and just hope that we could steal a touchdown with Kate Otten or Cameron Brate or something like that, right?
Yeah. So I think you're right. I think we throw in kind of our high price guy that we're looking for from Dallas, and then punt on Tampa.
I think CD.
Yeah,
I think CD is that guy. Now that leaves us 5,800. So you're probably looking at we can't get Tony Pollard. I know we haven't built with Tony Pollard yet. We will in a minute. But you can't get any of these guys that we really, really want. So you probably end up stuck with a guy like, Gallup and then punting, But if you want to get to Kate Otten, what are you doing here? You're probably, I guess you're going suck off and then Kate Otten, but then that's a 5-1. So you could do the other kicker. You could do Brett Maher and then go to Otten. Is that interesting to you?
That's fine. What about this? What about take out Maher and Otten, put in Rachaad White, and then throw in Hendershot or whatever
the
other dude
Ferguson.
is.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
like
wouldn't
that.
mind something like that.
Yeah, this is the game script here. This is an ass whooping sort of game script with CeeDee Lamb 10 receptions, 90 yards, and maybe 1 touchdown, and then Hendershot a random touchdown. And then you got Rachaad White that maybe closes it out with a couple of carries towards the end there. That's the game script for this one. So I know I mentioned Evans and Godwin without Brady. You know, throwing Evans a captain and having Godwin, maybe we're pushing it there. Right? Do you agree with me on that? If we didn't have Brady,
Yeah. I still think you can do it because, like, again, like Mike Evans could have 15 receptions for 200 yards and no touchdowns, and Chris could have just 2 touchdowns. You know what I mean? So, like, I think it's viable. I think you can go. Yeah, exactly what you got there.
Yes, Noah Brown or one of these other dudes. Let's see, where are we at? So you could go T.Y. Hilton. Let's just put Noah Brown in there just for shits and giggles. 3K.
Do it. Put him in there. Put in T.Y.
Fuck it.
Why not, man? Like, this is super. So if you're gonna enter the Millie Maker that's got 700,000 entries in it, like, I don't know, like if you're gonna put a couple in there, do something like this.
Yeah.
Like, this is gonna be a very low duplicated lineup, and this could be the last playoff game T.Y. Hilton ever gets to play, right? So, like, I mean, this is legit. Like, I think this could do something.
Yeah, I like this
crazy,
one.
though.
I like this is sort of my favorite here, just because I like weird ass lineups. All right, so we look instead of let's f around here a little bit. Let's put in. We got to get Tony Pollard involved. I know we haven't built with him a lot, but I love Tony Pollard in this matchup. So instead of CD, let's put Tony Pollard in and see what that gets us. Let's see if can we do like a Dalton Schultz here.
Yes,
1,600. It gets us, plenty of options here. It gets us the typical Jake Ferguson or Peyton Hendershot options. So you're punting.
You want to do some real crazy here?
Yeah, hell yeah, I love crazy.
Okay, take out Dak and put in CD.
All right, let's do it. So you could go up from Hendershot. Is there anything at 1,400 that really excites us?
Can we get to
no
7,800? Is how much is Dak or Zeke? See 7,800, huh? Damn it.
Yeah,
that was close.
Well, we could. Yeah, is he? Yeah, that sucks. That would be cool. I wish we could just leave. I wish we could just leave a spot open. Just say screw it.
Swap Evans and Godwin real quick.
All right, love that. Well, yeah, you're right. Godwin, that's gonna do it for us, I think. Where are you at, Mike? Yeah, there we go, dude. I love it. I love it.
Who's a $200 tight end from Tampa or Dallas? Like,
any of these dudes.
fine.
Any of these dudes. Ferguson, O'Keefe, Cameron Brate. Boom. What was that? We got 4 lineups with a different punt. I love it, dude. This is cool. This is not bad. Who do you want to build with next? You want to go? I know that CD. We got CD already. We got Mike Evans. We got a little bit of Chris Godwin. The Chris Godwin builds are going to be pretty similar. Do you want to do like a Rachaad White, Dalton Schultz?
Let's run Dalton Schultz.
All right, Dalton. What do we want to do here? You want to do like a 2-4, or you want to do a 4-2?
Yeah. Let's Well, you want to? I don't know. Maybe let's throw in our Tampa side first, and maybe instead of doing the Chris Mike Evans stack, let's do something a little more normal. You want to go Tom and Mike?
Let's do Tom and Godwin.
Okay, and then let's see if we can get Dak and CD.
Yeah, let's get these 2 quarterbacks here. Yeah, exactly. We need to make sure we're doing that. Oh, look at this.
Oh,
shit.
there you go.
Are you kidding
Hell yeah,
me?
man. Another 4 lineups right there, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Shit, I'm going to need a lot of lineups for this one, man. O'Keefe, Jake Ferguson, Cameron Brate. Yeah, dude, that's pretty nice. Not bad. Yeah. Instead of CD, can we come down? Let's come down to Tony at 2,800. Oh, man, almost got us TY, but we got Noah Brown here.
Yeah. And again, that's perfect if you're fading CD, I think.
Yeah, and Tom Brady and Godwin, with Schultz. Maybe Schultz gets you 2 touchdowns or a touchdown and like 8 receptions or something crazy like that, and then you have the rest of these guys go off. All right, let's build with one more dude before we send it off. Who do you want to go with?
Ryan Suckup.
Oh, man. All right, we're doing it. Screw it. Suck off. Where else are we going? We going heavy run game here or what? You want a handcuff?
Yeah, let's go Dallas handcuff, and then let's go Chris and Mike if we can.
Okay. Yeah, hell yeah, we can. No quarterbacks, but you could playoff Lenny, but you're leaving a lot on the table.
What about this? Pull out Zeke and see if you can, and let's put in CD.
All right, let's do it. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, what does that leave? 6,600?
66. Dalton.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, CeeDee Lamb and Dalton without Dak is, it's interesting. Who else do we got here? Rashad White. Okay, I like that. That's a 4-2 with Suck Off at captain. Hey, dude, if he gets 15, 17 fantasy points and this hits the under, and you got a bunch of dudes with a bunch of PPR points, that could do the job for you. All right, anything else you want to do?
No, I think I'm out of lineups at this point.
Yeah. Hey, that wasn't as bad as I thought. When I was prepping, I was building some lineups. I'm like, but as we discovered in real time, that wasn't too bad. So, what are your thoughts? Builds, roster construction, game script. What are you thinking? What is your favorite type of build here that we've done so far?
I honestly, I think these Chris Godwin, Mike Evans builds where we're fading really most of the offense is pretty interesting to me. I know it can be a little counterintuitive, but and they're still the 2 best players on the team, and it could easily be that they have everything with no touchdowns. So I like it, man. I think it's going to be an interesting way to get different on what's going to be a pretty big slate, right? There's going to be a lot of entries.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. All right, guys, we are going to take off. We're going to let Ellie go have his baby. We're making the show a little bit quicker than we usually do. We appreciate you guys. We will be back. Stay tuned. Join that Discord. We're going to put out a schedule for our content out there, and we will see you guys for the next weekend of the playoffs.